gotta just check this out.
Okay.
My office is off the hook. This is where we record all the Better Call Matt episodes for the channel.
Nice.
Not podcast. So we'll just kind of, if you want to just sit here, go ahead. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of like lean up against this.
Got you.
That's kind of how we do my podcast.
No, awesome.
So
No, and I think I even got like an arm
So are we
holder
ready
and
for the
stuff.
first caller?
No, yeah, this is phenomenal. Wow.
Isn't it jumpy?
No, this is wow. Are these like triple mattress?
Just set on you.
God.
This is crazy.
Dude, they just put everything in here?
I did. I'm the one who did.
That's smart. You see, I honestly, the more I hang out with you, the more I'm realizing that you're even more like, there's no office in there.
I guess we'll just have the film in here then.
Yeah.
All right, and we are back with Better Call Matt. It's been an incredible time so far in this first season here, and we have Pastor Abraham here. Pastor Abraham, thanks for jumping on today. In a few moments, we'll just get to know you a little bit more. And man, what an incredible time it's been on Better Call Matt when we answer your questions as youth pastors live about what's going on in your world. And so, Pastor Abraham, you're here, a good friend of mine. We've been friends for about maybe only like 6 months now, but it feels like a lot longer. But tell us a little about yourself. You're a youth pastor, where you're youth pastoring, also what you're, the other stuff you're doing as well.
I mean, so we kind of got the same charge here, me and you. I think that's what got us to connect so fast over just a little bit of time. But I'm also a DYD, so I'm the Northwest Hispanic youth director, as well as an associate pastor at Abundant Life Church in Yakima, Washington.
Wow.
So
okay,
God
so
has
you're
been
doing
good.
local youth ministry.
Yeah.
You also mentioned you also had a job too, that you're also a third job you're doing on top of it.
So my third job, I am a social worker. I help people with disabilities
Wow.
get employment and then help them keep that employment so they can be part of, society and the community.
Yeah, as well as some of that apostleship gifting in the fivefold ministry we see, where there's other churches you're actually also encouraging and traveling around to as well. So you're busy. And how old are you? I mean, I have to ask.
21 years old.
21 years old. I love this. I mean, we preach messages, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young.
Yes.
And then as soon as someone does, we're like, oh, wow, that's so young. But 21 years old,
you're
doing some amazing ministry. Married, dating?
No, single. Very, very single.
Okay,
But God
single.
is still good.
Okay, let's go. He's single. Hey, Kaylee, you know any girls that would be great? You know? Maybe. Okay, hit him up right now. Kaylee's
Come on.
DMing
Let me
him
know.
right now. Let him know. But no, that's okay. So you're single. I love that though, because it's interesting. I heard this the other day. About 35% of youth workers, youth pastors, are actually single. Yeah. And so I love that, because sometimes we can allow seasons of our lives to limit us from what God wants to do in those seasons. And so, I mean, we weren't really planning this, but tell me a little bit more about that. In your singleness, how do you see that not being a lid in your ministry, but actually something that can be a benefit for your ministry in this season, and see how God can still utilize anybody no matter what season they find themselves in?
Well, I mean, number one, it's really just also time management, right? I think I'm in a season where, like I just said right now, it's a season where I have a lot on my plate, you know what I mean? So I think in this season, it takes really a time where I've had to learn time management very, very well, as well as learning how do I spend time in ministry, but also give time to my family. And now I think, this is giving me a good opportunity, because, when that lady does come around, you know what I mean? When I do get that opportunity, when God does bless me with my missing rib, you could say, I think I'd be prepared and ready and say, okay, this is how I split time. So now I have time to give her my time and my attention.
I love that. You're not looking at this as something you're waiting for, or a waiting season. You're saying, no, this season actually, I can start creating disciplines now that are going to carry into future relationship, marriage, all those things. So I love that. Like, what makes us think that we're going to get good disciplines now as single people, and carry if we're not doing it now, and then we're going to carry that into marriage
100%, 100%.
So, well, hey, I guess, Kaylee, you okay, we actually got a live caller here, so we're going to jump right in. We got Pastor Josh Spurron. Let's pick up the phone here. Hey, Pastor Josh, are you there?
Hey, what's up, Pastor Matt?
Hey, why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, how long you been in youth ministry?
Sweet, yeah. My name's Josh Spur. I'm at New Life Church. Been in full-time ministry for about 1.5 years now. Loving life, loving the Better Call Matt, man. It's been so fun. Getting to hear other youth pastors' stories and what they're all about.
Well, tell
And
us your story. Tell us a little bit why you're calling it today. What's your story? What do you got for us?
Yeah, so today, I was just kind of wondering, because as a single guy, I was just wondering what are some things that you would recommend as a single guy leading, a youth ministry, obviously having to pastor both guys and girls. What are some tips that you could give me to help me lead my girl leaders well and also lead my female students well?
Well, Pastor Abraham, I mean, this is perfect for you because
Yes.
we're obviously you're listening in here. We're talking about singleness. He's single. I did ministry for 6 years, being single, and then obviously, Pastor Josh, you're single, or you wouldn't be asking this question because now it could get real awkward. So you're single. How old are you?
26 today.
Come
20,
on,
26
happy
today.
birthday.
Happy birthday!
Come on.
That's awesome. So 26 years old, single. Great question. Why don't you start?
Okay, so I mean, from my own perspective and what I feel spiritually, right, is I really feel like there is to create boundaries, and I think that's what we're called to do as ministers. And it's one of those things that if you set those boundaries early, especially with your girl students and your girl leaders, right, one of my biggest things is, like, let's say I'm at church and a girl wants to have a meeting with me in my office. I'm not in there alone, right? There's somebody else there with me. Those little things like that, it really connects or keeps that boundary between you and your female student of saying, you know what I mean, I am your pastor. And obviously, I mean, let's say there's an older student that's maybe around your age. I think there's still, you don't want to go right into the dating scene first, start as friends, and if something happens after, because a lot of those stuffs can derail your ministry if you let it get to you.
Yeah. Well, I love it because before he called in, you were talking about disciplines and creating disciplines now that you want to carry into marriage. Same thing into ministry 100%. Is begin to create the habits and the boundaries you would as any kind of season of life, and you get to do that now. And I'm kind of thinking and processing. I remember those 6 years of being single, Josh, and just feeling like, man, God, how are we going to recruit more ladies? Because I don't want to give the wrong impression while we're trying to recruit them, but there's all these girls in my ministry. And wherever God calls, he always provides.
Yes.
He'll always provide for you wherever he's calling you out. And so if you're called to be a youth pastor, I mean, you look at Paul the Apostle, single, okay? You look at different people in the Bible that were different seasons of life, different ages of life, some married, some not. And it could be debated that the majority of New Testament, you could be debated that many of those people weren't married. And so it's interesting with our Western culture now, or just culture nowadays, where we feel like, well, if I'm not married, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
When in fact, when you're not married, you now have more time, more energy to begin to continue to spend the time that you need on your ministry. These are the moments, Josh, that you can now look back and go, man, those were the times I had the most time to build the local ministry, to pour into people. You don't have your family yet. You don't have kids yet. This is the time to just give it everything you can with that reality that you don't have the extra people in your life in that moment. And so anything else you'd say?
No, I think the biggest thing that I would add is one of the things that I learned in my ministry and in my season of singleness is, has God not gave me my wife, or am I not ready to get it delivered to me? And that's one of the biggest things that I learned into building those disciplines, building those things, all those stuff that I need. Am I ready? Am I ready for a wife? You know what I mean? Is my prayer life good? Is my, reading my Bible life good? Is my ministry where it needs to be? Am I ready to handle ministry and handle God's daughter, or does God still need to build me a little bit? And that's one of the best things that I've learned in this season.
And you know what's funny, Josh, you're on the phone here. The funniest thing is I look back at season of my ministry, some of the greatest moments, I had the best discipleship for the girls and teenagers in our ministries was those seasons I was single.
Come on.
Because it's in those moments, in our weakness, he's strong. In our moments that we say, I don't have enough, God says I do, and I have the people around you that have enough. It was in those moments we're able to identify, yeah, guys, I'm single, so we're in need of more awesome girl leaders around me to actually be able to pour into these teenagers. You're sharing that need. And so, Josh, lean into the need. Lead into the lack of what you feel and sense of the things you lack or the resources you lack because of this season of singleness. Actually lean into that, embrace that, and share that need with the people around you in your church and watch them step up in amazing ways that you wouldn't see typically unless there was that need there.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Josh, anything else? Any other thing? Any reflections on that? Anything you have to add to the combo?
Thanks so much, Matt and Abraham. That was so great. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right.
Come on.
Thanks for calling in.
All right. Yeah,
All right,
of
bye.
course. See ya.
Did he know your birthday?
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. No, I mean, it's such an important conversation, I think, a lot of the times, because maybe, in ministry, we feel like there's the majority people are married. We kind of put the other people, and not only with people in ministry, it's the church people. I mean, when you're in single, you got this pressure. I better get married. Everyone's asking me, why aren't you married yet? And so that's just one of those things that we do have to kind of identify and everything. Do we got another caller?
Yes, Hunter. But you should tell a funny dating story while you're there of the crazy girl.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you a story.
Just loosen it up a bit.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. So I was obviously single for 6 years of my ministry, and I was going to Northwest University, and there was this girl there, and I won't mention names or anything, and then there's a few, couple different girls and stuff, and she got serious real quick. We were only on our first date, and after the second date, I realized real quickly after text messages, 6 different calls she was making, she got really intense really quickly.
Oh, wow.
Well, I had a friend named Rachel O'Brien. She may be watching this. She was my admin and a great friend of mine. She's down in Mexico now as a missionary. And she was my admin. Well, she had come over to my house to set decorations up for Christmas. I'm a single guy. I don't know how to set up decorations, but I wanted to bring Christmas joy into my house. Yeah. But I don't know how to do that. I'm single, so I got to get somebody, a friend that's a girl, my admin, to come over and help me set it up. She's setting up, so I take a picture and I post it saying, isn't this incredible? Rachel would come over and do this. Well, I'd only dated this girl one time. This girl calls me, blasts me. I cannot believe you're playing me. I wanted to marry you. You're playing with my heart. I cannot believe this. I went on one teriyaki chicken meal with this girl, and it was crazy. All the world was falling apart. She drove by my house. My roommate saw her.
No, that's
and this
crazy.
is what's crazy. My roommate called her. She didn't know me. We only went on one date. She didn't even recognize my voice. He calls her and says, hey, this is Matt. We can never see each other again, because I was so scared of this girl. And she actually thought it was me, and my friend actually broke it off for me.
No shot.
Yeah, crazy.
Dude, I was terrified
So
listening to
single
that. That's
life,
crazy.
bro, as a youth pastor, it is crazy out there.
It's insane.
It is crazy as a single pastor.
Yeah.
So you got any stories like that?
Nothing like
I
that.
mean,
I think
wild.
that's honestly got to be like one of a kind.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, I don't really have any stories like that. Not yet. Let's hope not anytime, but
All right.
not
Well,
yet.
you know what? Let's take our next caller. Hunter's calling in here. Hunter, let's pick it up. I think he's on. Hunter, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Hunter. Hey, tell us who you are, where you're from. How long you been at your church?
Yeah, so great questions. My name is Hunter. I am originally from Kentucky. I've actually only been at my church now for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
My wife and I just moved from essentially Atlanta right back to our home state of Kentucky. Jessamine Christian Church, been here for 2.5 weeks now.
Wow. So you just been getting in. You're in there. You're 2.5 weeks. You're still trying to figure out where the grocery store is and which one you guys are going to go to. Tell me, what's your story? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, there is a lot going on. Church is great. Church is healthy. I get thrown into a student ministry that is great. Has a great volunteer team. Day one of me, the church announcing us that we are the student pastors coming in, I get a Facebook friend request from a mom that is immediately super excited, super thrilled that we're going to be there to pastor her kids, because she has 2 in student ministry, 1 just graduated. And then starts talking about this trip called Hearts on Fire that we're going to in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area, which it sounds great. At the time, I had no idea what she was talking about. Wasn't aware of any trip because I just got hired like a day ago. So then she messaged me talking about volunteers for this trip. So now we're at the point going to this trip. Looking forward to it, but the more details we found out, the more we realized, and the planning stuff realized that this weekend trip that we're doing is also our church's 30th anniversary trip. So had to change a lot of plans. So I'm bad guy per se, if you want to call me now, with this parent, despite her level of excitement to serve and to want to go. I canceled or postponed or really canceled the last night of the trip, so our students could be involved in a 30th anniversary celebration of the church, which I thought was great. I put emphasis on students serving, students being in main service with their family, but this parent completely does not agree with that. So we're at a little crossroads here of um, not making everybody happy versus doing what my leadership team and I thought is right for the students to be a part of a 30th anniversary day, and we're 2 weeks in. So it's been a wild week to figure that out, but no, I mean, that's one story of
Okay.
many from 2 weeks.
Wow, yeah, a lot going on because you're just landing, you're just getting in. You don't have a lot of change in the bank, right? They don't know who you are. You haven't had a lot to do to like win the parents over, their trust. You're coming in now. It's the first event. You're already you didn't cancel it, but you pivoted a little bit. Now you're coming that last day. You're not going to be there to that conference or whatever that is for your church's 30th birthday. I'm just making or 30th anniversary. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, that's what you're hearing.
Okay.
Thankfully had support from my elders and leadership team to have the conversations to where we get to leave a day early and not miss really any conference time. We just lost a little bit of money on staying in a cabin, essentially, but still nonetheless.
Well, you did.
Little dynamic situation being a week into a job.
Yeah, and you did 50% of the battle right there. You checked in with the elders, your lead pastor. It's their 30th anniversary. I don't know how long the family's been going to the church, but a 30th anniversary is a pretty special thing for a family that's all in with the church. So a couple of things is, one, you talk to your pastor. That's great. You got it approved. I'm sure they're ecstatic and excited that you'd be thinking as a youth pastor about the adults and wanting to make sure you're unified as a youth. And so I think that's probably the greatest part right there, and to lean into the whole entire conversation. Now, not throwing your leadership under the bus. Well, we would stay the whole time, but my leaders won't let us. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you own the decision. Make sure you own it. Hey, we've decided as a leadership team, and I'm leaning into this, and I do 100% behind it, and we're going to move forward. You don't have to blame your lead pastor, your elders, because it's probably going to get back to them after you have the conversation with a parent, and then they can say, hey, we're unified with Pastor Hunter. We're on the same page. You don't have to prove anything to anybody or that parent. You get on the same page with your leadership team and let God take care of it and handle all the rest in the conversation. And then I would just say go above and beyond. Call the parent. Let them know, hey, I know that can be frustrating, but 30th anniversary only happens one time in our church's history for life, forever. This is a special moment. And I think that needs to come to the front of the conversation. Would you have anything to add to that?
No, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And like you said, right, one of my biggest things, I'm really young in ministry, and so one of the biggest things that I do is if I have to face a hard decision, I go to my lead pastor because he's been in ministry, so he's had to have hard decisions and make decisions like that. And like you said, don't blame your pastor, right, or the elders or anybody like that. Say, I only did it, I would do it, but they don't want to do it. No. You're in leader. God has called you to be a leader, so this is one of those things that you got to make the decision as a leader. And I think that's really smart. And I 100%, what was his name again? Hunter, yeah. Hunter, I'm with you, man. I would have made the same exact decision. I'm a really big on church being a family, right? And so something like a 30th anniversary, I would think of it like, my dad or mom's birthday. You know what I mean? Why would you miss that? You know what I mean? And it's a celebration. And it's a celebration not only of the church, but the members of the church. And you guys are members of the church. You guys have to be there. That's how I see it in my eyes. And especially the youth would have to be at a celebration like that because they are the future of the church. Because of them being there, they're going to have a 40th anniversary, a 50th anniversary, and a 60th anniversary.
Yeah, and tie that back into the big why. We all talk about the why, but bring that in for our kids. It will be so powerful for your kids to be in this moment, to see that we're not just moving forward as a future, but we need to look back and we need to honor the past. It's great for our youth to be back and around other people and celebrating. Now, you could say all this stuff, and at the end of the day, the parent's still not going to see eye to eye. Yeah. And so the goal is not to agree. The goal is just to be in alignment of heart. And if you can just get to that and say, look, we may disagree on if we should be there or we shouldn't, but we all align on the same heart, that we love this church. We want to honor the people of the church. We want to celebrate together. We want Jesus to continue not only to move forward, or honor the past, but also move forward in the future. So there's this back and forth complementary relationship from the youth ministry to the adults that need to happen, and you're helping highlight to that parent. But you could say whatever you can. You still may not, get through to her, but that's all right. Honor her, pray for her, have the conversation, and then move forward with the support of your lead pastor and elders. Hunter, that is a great question. Thank you for calling in today. And man, 2 weeks into it, God bless you. Your best days are ahead, and we're excited to hear reports of all that God does in your ministry.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You know it. Appreciate you guys.
Love it.
We got Dalton.
Oh, let me hang up here, and we got Dalton. We got to get Dalton back in here.
A quick Dalton.
Hey, Dalton, you here? Pastor Dalton? Okay, and while we're waiting.
Matt.
There you are, Pastor Dalton. Hey, why don't you share who you are, where you're from, how long you've been at your church?
What's going on? My name is Dalton. I'm the youth pastor over at Eastridge, and I've been here for 6 years.
Love it. So 6 years, youth pastor, Eastridge Church. Tell us a little story you got to share, and we'll see what we can do with any questions you might have around that.
There's not a particular maybe story, but it is more of a conversation I think that we're regularly having, but it's one thing to kind of theorize about it, and then it's totally something different to put some practical steps to it. So my biggest question is just about shared leadership. I have this real struggle in my mind between saying no for people, when the reality is to do the ministry that God wants to do in his church with these students, you need help. And so my question, or maybe the conversation I just want to have, is about how do you maybe put some practical steps to empowering people to use the gifts that God gave them to serve his church in a greater way.
That is such a great question. So in the simplest forms, how do we empower people to impart in them the call of God in their life? Is that really what you're asking? Like the best way to empower people within our church?
Yeah, absolutely.
Within specifically youth ministry. You got anything around that?
So I think one of the biggest things that I learned is to give young people the opportunity, right? And to believe in them, truly believe in them that they can do it, and show them that you believe in them. I have a young student, his name is Elijah, and I spoke with Elijah one day, and I said, hey, look, Elijah, I think that God wants to use you in a really big way, and I don't know if it's ministry, I don't know if he wants you to, be a preacher, whatever it is, but I think God in this season has called you to be a leader, and I want you to be a student leader. And so I kind of gave him the details. We sat down, we kind of had lunch and just talked about what it is to be a student leader. And once we talked about it, he was all for it, and now he is absolutely gone up the rails. I mean, God has taken him up. He's giving classes. He's praying for people at the altar, and it all took that little opportunity to say, okay, this is a little bit of responsibility, as well as I believe that you can do it with prayer, with guidance, and God will do the rest.
That's great. I love that. And just thinking through that word empowerment, what are we empowering them to do? Is the question, right? Because it sounds great. We need to empower our team. But what are we really, at the end of the day, as youth pastors, empowering them? We are empowering them to disciple people.
Yeah.
Even above even saying disciple students, because our leaders are probably discipling each other. Yeah. Leaders disciple the other leaders. And so the thing is we are trying to empower our leaders in its purest form, no matter what church you're at. If you're a Christian church, you love Jesus, you are empowering them to disciple. So what I would be doing is, then what environments are you creating for you to then empower, aka show what it means to disciple and how to do that? To do that, you then need to be going, where are the environments that I have with these leaders that I'm empowering for them to watch me, see me? Is there a Bible reading plan we're going through together? I would often link up what I want our leaders and empowering them to do and our students, I would have us do as people. So I would have a small group with all of our leaders, and the very things that we're learning, we would then just instill into the students. Yeah. That way they're actually partaking in what they're going to teach. And so we're empowering them. They're seeing me lead. They're seeing me how I share scripture. They're seeing me the questions that we're asking them. And I think we try to put leaders and students and all this into the different categories. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to empower everybody to do the same thing. No matter how old you are, what age you are, if you're considered a leader or you're not a leader, if you are a Christian in our ministry, we want to empower you to disciple people. So first, let them watch you. Second, when they're going into that then and you're empowering them to do something, right away, who are you empowering now? They're already coming in with that person, and you're already saying, hey, I'm linking you two together because this isn't going to be a small group for more than a year. You guys are going to now break off small groups. Your two are together only to empower one another to eventually continue to multiply. And so I think that empowerment thing is really getting in your heart of what am I trying to, it'd be a great question to ask your leaders. Pastor Dalton is, hey, what do you think we're empowered to do?
Yeah.
It seems like such a basic, but it causes and stirs them up to really, what are we supposed to be doing? So, anything else?
No, and to add on that, I think when you sit down with your leadership team and say, what are we trying to empower, install, and put into this generation or in our leaders, it gives one vision. It gives one thing. This is what we're doing, and maybe it's a season of, it's a learning or growth, or maybe it's a season of revival, and God's ready to spark that. Whatever it is, you have that conversation, and it helps empower the leaders, the student leaders, the youth leaders, and then your students, and everyone, like you said, as a family, as unity, is getting empowered. And I think overall that is what has to happen.
That's great. Before we get off this call, I think often we're empowering people to do a lot of things. Do that program, do that event, run those slides. We're trying to empower people as they're doing that. The big why behind that is to disciple people. So when you're empowering your audio person to do audio, empower them. Now, who are you discipling? That kid that is next to you that's also running audio. Find the different common interests within the ministry. And then we're not just training people, empowering them to do something. We're empowering them to become something and instill that same discipleship within the people that our leaders are around. And so that stuff's got to get done in our ministry, but make sure you're adding the substance to your leaders of how are we actually truly empowering kids and discipling leaders within the context of our programs. Great question. Appreciate the question. And Pastor Dalton, thanks for being on today on Better Call Matt.
Appreciate you guys. See you soon.
Talk to you soon. Wow, what an incredible channel. Or episode today. It's not a podcast, it's a channel. And we're here on the episode. What's the difference between a podcast and a channel to you as we close today?
Honestly, I don't really know. I feel like a podcast maybe just because that's on Apple Music. Would that be the difference?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking each person that comes in.
I'm gonna be honest, bro.
You think they're the same?
I honestly, yeah. There's no way it's not.
And I think you're wrong. Yeah, I think a channel is YouTube video only.
And podcast is only audio?
Well, Pastor Abraham, thanks for being here. And thank you for being on Better Call Matt. Make sure you call in. Give us a call, and we'll answer your questions next time on Better Call Matt. Let's go.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.